Hey guys, so as you can tell by my last video, I've been playing Genshin Impact for the past 2 weeks or so, albeit pretty casually for the most part until I started whaling. Given that most Genshin content on the internet right now is the usual shit like gacha salt or farming stuff or people complaining about the resin system, I decided to make a video about movement mechanics in the game. Someone may have already made a video like this though, which wouldn't surprise me given how high AR level some no-lifers are right now, but hopefully this video helps some of you guys out regardless. In Genshin Impact, movement is a huge part of your gameplay, both in exploration and combat. For the purposes of this video, we'll only go over combat movement since it's more impactful there, as good movement can make a tangible difference between winning and losing a fight, unless you run out of stam climbing a cliff somewhere. First, the offensive side of good movement. All characters have auto combos that have attacks that either come out slower than others, such as the last hit of Dialect's auto or the fourth hit of Jean's, or have a lot of ending frames, like the last auto hit of Keqing's and many of the Archer's auto combos. You can cancel the ending animations of these attacks with a dash, called dash canceling, and doing so for slow attacks like these allows you to start attacking again much sooner than if you were to let the animations play out in full, therefore increasing your DPS. So finding the ideal auto combo cancel window for each character's auto combo is crucial in min-maxing their DPS. When you enter combat, you can't manually target enemies because the game auto-locks onto enemies for you. Typically, it'll be whatever is closest to your character. So to target switch, you need to move to another enemy who will end up closer to you. This means that certain attacks, like Keqing's final auto hit that travel a certain distance, will target switch automatically when you're fighting multiple enemies in close proximity, so you need to dash cancel back to the first enemy if you want to finish them off. On the subject of auto attacks that travel, all auto attacks do not cost stamina, so the ones that make your characters reposition automatically are valuable because they give you free movement while attacking. And a large part of having good movement in Genshin Impact is good stamina management, so teleport attacks like Kaya's are useful for this reason. Many skills and ults have limited ranges and thus need good spacing that varies depending on the situation, usually on how many enemies there are on the field, how close they are together, and how close you are to them, so that you can get the most out of every skill and ult usage. The combination of good auto attacking, dash canceling, spacing, and repositioning plays a major part in your team's ability to fight effectively and efficiently, and mastery of the game's movement mechanics is a critical component in your ability to do late game content like 3-starring high-level Abyss dungeons. Second, the defensive side of good movement. The overall combat meta right now is to deal as much damage as possible as quickly as possible, which means that in Genshin Impact, offensive gear sets are preferred over defensive gear sets unless you're a Noelle main because fuck the tier list, or your name is Slice and you can't stop farming artifacts with defense bonuses. In addition, generally speaking, there aren't many defensive mechanics in the game. There's no blocking, but certain units can produce shields that can prevent your characters from taking hit stun from certain enemy attacks and outright block incoming damage. Two-handers like Dialect have armored autos and skills that let them attack through enemy light attacks. Beidou has a parry, and animation ults, which are exclusive to 5-star units and Barbara, are completely invulnerable for the duration of their animations, but the only truly universal defensive mechanics are in character movement. On top of this, the game scales difficulty with your adventure rank, so as you level up your account, the enemies get stronger, which means that the amount of damage that your units take either stays roughly the same or gets worse, especially if your team is underleveled or starts to be underleveled. As the cherry on top, enemies can even combo you, especially if you get juggled in the air. All this to say, having good movement not only supplements your offense, but also greatly bolsters your survivability, so mastering movement fundamentals is critical in playing Genshin Impact effectively overall. The core movement mechanic in Genshin is the dash. As discussed at the beginning of the video, it's used to cancel animations for faster repositioning and attack sequences, but all characters' dashes have iframes on their startups that allow them to dodge many attacks with precise timing that would hit them otherwise. Even if you mistime your dash when going through an enemy attack, there's a slightly larger window where you still take damage, but you won't suffer hit stun or a knockdown. Getting knocked down in Genshin is bad because it kills your momentum and takes forever to recover from if you don't successfully dash cancel your landing animation. Worst of all, you don't get any iframes while knocked down, and there are no air resets in the game, so enemies can continue comboing you until you recover or until your character dies. Note that some tougher enemies have attacks that are difficult to dash through, so for those, it's simply better for you to recognize those attacks and reposition rather than trying to test your reactions on the fly, or you can just tell yourself to get good and learn to iframe them all anyway. Let's talk about dash canceling in more detail. You can dash cancel in any direction, including diagonally, by holding down the direction you want to go and hitting the dash or sprint key. Remember that if you're a PC player, you have two options for dashing, left shift or right mouse button, so use whatever's more comfortable for you. You can dash cancel out of almost any combat action, auto combos, skill activations, and even ults. For auto combos, the game is very lenient with dash cancel windows, and for most, if not all characters, they can dash cancel most frames of their animations, including individual hits of their combos. In fact, you can dash cancel out of an attack so fast that its animation doesn't even play. Hilariously, specifically for Venti, whose auto combo can have him shoot 2 arrows in quick succession for his first and fourth attacks, he can dash cancel in between his double shots so that he only shoots 1, though in what context this would ever be useful in is anyone's guess. This leniency in cancel frames gives you immense control over your character so that you can more easily increase your DPS with auto combos, utilize skills and ults more easily at critical moments, and defend your teams better as long as you have the reactions, the timing, recognition of incoming attacks, or any variable combination of the above. Dashes can also cancel into themselves, meaning that most characters can dash twice in quick succession for some extra iframes. However, you cannot dash more than twice in a row, so you can't abuse iframes over and over. There's a hidden cooldown timer that dictates when you can dash again, which seems to be about a second or two. For skills, many of them benefit greatly from dash canceling, such as Keqing's teleport on her skill, as it allows her to teleport into a group of enemies and immediately dash away. Similarly, both Fish's initial skill activation and recall can be dash cancelled so that she has greater freedom to summon and reposition Oz around the field, though in both cases they appear to require a bit more precise timing. Another instance is Geolumin, who can dash cancel the second half of her skill activation as soon as her Geo construct appears on screen. A less drastic but still relevant example is Dialek, who can dash cancel each hit of his skill the instant it lands. Barbara benefits heavily from this because she can instantly dash cancel out of her skill the moment she uses it, and it has a long animation time if you don't. Her skill seems to have a huge cancel window anyway, so she's very lenient with when you dash cancel out of it. Charge attacks and ults are similar to skills in that they also have variable cancel windows that are character specific. Keqing's charge attack can be cancelled quickly and still deal damage, while Lisa, whose charge attack can be dash cancelled at any time, will not actually deal damage with it unless its animation plays out almost completely. And for ults, Keqing returns to the field after she's used hers, sooner than the last hit of it can land, and she can dash cancel her ending frames. Special mention to Mona's ult for being really tricky to dash cancel out of, in part thanks to her unique dash animation. Speaking of Mona, she's the exception to dash canceling because she's the only character in the game currently to have a unique sprint animation. This animation gives her great mobility, especially when traversing over bodies of water, and she's the only character in the game who can stay in place while sprinting. It comes at a cost to her combat mobility though. Her dash cancels are awkward because she swerves in the direction that you want her to dash in if she's not already facing that direction to begin with, which means Mona can't take tight turns like most other characters can, and she might end up dashing into enemy attacks instead. This makes her tricky to use for beginners because her movement feels slippery compared to everyone else's. She still benefits from dash canceling, such as having iframes on her sprint startup, and not only do her individual dashes seem to cost less stamina compared to the rest of the characters in the game, but they also don't have a cooldown timer, meaning that you can spam Mona dashes to run circles around enemies. These traits are useful if you're running support Mona, but for DPS Mona, you'll need to adjust to her dashes to maneuver with her well. And future characters like Ayaka, who also have the same sprint animation as Mona, may have these same benefits and issues as well. You may have noticed me jumping out of some animations throughout the gameplay in this video. Jumping can also cancel combat animations in the same way that dashes can, and use the same cancel windows that dash cancels do, but they have several weaknesses. The most notable one is that since you're jumping and not dashing, jump cancels don't have iframes and thus are unsafe. The worst case scenario is if you get hit midair and you get knocked down or even comboed by enemies. Dashing also takes your characters further than jumping and lets them attack slightly faster for melee units, which means jump cancels have less mobility and are slower for them. The main advantage to jump canceling is stamina conservation. Dash canceling consumes stam, and in the middle of combat your characters are always using it with their dashes or charge attacks, so recklessly spamming them is essentially asking to die. But auto combos, skills, ults, and jumping don't consume stamina. This means that in low stamina situations, jump canceling at the right times can give you a dash or two that you wouldn't otherwise have if you had kept dash canceling. Jump canceling benefits casters the most. Since jump cancels don't have iframes, it's dangerous for melee units to do them since they're usually the most likely to take damage unless they forced an enemy to enter their weak phase if they have one. But for ranged units, this is generally less of an issue, even less so with good spacing. While both archers and casters have useful charge attacks, archer charge shots are only really used either for exploration or at specific parts of a fight to apply elementals unless you build Amber as a crit archer and do your best Shroud impression by getting headshots all day. Caster charge attacks may have more relevant combat utility, such as Barbara's that heals on hit when her skill is active, or Klee who can just straight up spam it. And because charge attacks take stamina, casters can manage the stam consumption better by jump canceling their auto combos and their charge attacks. This is especially important for their charge attacks since they cost a lot of stamina to use, such as Barbara's. For reference, compare Barbara's stamina when dash canceling with her charge attack with jump canceling instead. For Mona specifically, her charge attack for some reason can be jump cancelled much sooner than a dash cancel, so for you Mona mains out there who happen to use your charge attack a lot for whatever reason, jump cancelling it is optimal. In fact, if you plan to run DPS Mona during or after her auto combo, her optimal movement is probably to jump cancel first in the direction that you wanted her to dash cancel, then dash to circumvent a lot of the awkwardness with her movement, though naturally this will take some practice. And shoutouts to Klee who can both walk cancel and jump cancel the first bomb of her auto combo, though jump cancel autos are more optimal than walk canceling. One last tangent on Klee, she can actually roll a short distance from a neutral jump. This is done by jumping in place, then immediately holding the direction you want her to roll in. Chi-Chi can do this too. Like dashing, they can roll in all 8 directions regardless of where they were facing initially. This does not work if they're jumping forward in a direction, this will only work if they jump in place. While all characters can roll like this, for most of them it only happens when they drop from a certain height. I've been able to get Jean to roll like Klee on the ground, but it seems inconsistent, and I haven't been able to get other characters to do the same. As far as I'm aware, only Chi-Chi and Klee can perform this role consistently, making this, as odd as it sounds, a lolly-specific maneuver. Not that it really does much, except make Chi-Chi and Klee even more adorable than they already are. In any case, dash canceling is still more useful overall, and you shouldn't suddenly start jump canceling everything because that's also basically asking to die. But using a jump cancel during parts of a fight where dash canceling isn't necessary can potentially have a game-saving impact on your gameplay, especially when dungeons that double your stamina cost are a thing. That's it for this video. Hope you learned something, and even if you knew everything that's been discussed already, hope you were still entertained, and thanks for watching.